Now, we know that great advances have been made in treating the HIV epidemic, but according to one of the founding directors of UN AIDS, it remains a killer disease and governments cannot afford to be complacent. Professor Piot, who is now the director of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and Professor of Global Health there, I spoke to him about his new book, No Time to Lose, a memoir which traces his 35 years fighting dangerous illnesses. How well are we doing in the fight against AIDS?
We have now about 7 million people on treatment in poorer countries, and that comes from like 200,000 10 years ago. But these major achievements have been the result of a combination of the science, discovering of new drugs, the politics, money from all over, and programs on the ground. And I'm very concerned that we are now becoming complacent, that attention for AIDS and funding for AIDS is going down despite the fact that it's still killing so many people.
Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I think there is on the one hand the perception that it's all over. It's the paradox when you're doing well with something, that when you have results that people think it's done and we can move to another problem, and there are so many big health issues in the world, and we have the economic crisis, so there is less money available in general for causes like AIDS.
So when you look at something like the cost of antiretroviral drugs for poorer countries coming down, what is it that you think needs to happen that will make that much more comprehensive?
Well, at the moment, the price of the drugs is really as low as it can be. We also have, Indian generic manufacturers producing copies of these drugs and at fairly low price. The key is now, one, to make sure that people who start treatment stay on treatment so that there is adherence to treatment, because treatment for HIV infection is for life. So that's for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And secondly, we have to make sure that people know that they're infected so that there is widespread testing, that also there will not be discriminated when they're found to be HIV positive. And we have to make sure that all this is well integrated into the actually not always so well functioning health systems in the developing world.
I'm assuming that you've seen the Steven Soderbergh film Contagion, which
Yes.
It manifested the kind of fear around something spreading very quickly in a globalised world. I just wonder if you can say something about the kind of message that a film like that, which is very popular, it's kind of mass entertainment, what that does to people's awareness about something which is very serious and you've dedicated your career to.
Yeah, Contagion, the film was quite real. I mean, these things could happen. It's important that people are aware that even in our high-tech societies, viruses that resistant bacteria are really looming and are always around the corner. We have now untreatable tuberculosis. We have untreatable gonorrhea. So it is as if pathogens, viruses, bacteria, always have the last word, and there is a real race between these pathogens, microbes and men, but we are far better equipped than before. For example, we have vaccines that are highly effective, and we have to make sure that we make use of all these tools that science has given us.
You have held very senior positions inside the United Nations. I just wonder if you can make a comment about the difficulties when you are part of an organisation that is trying to implement policies internationally and your perception as a scientist.
Yeah, when the United Nations system, because there are many organizations from the World Health Organization to the World Bank and UNICEF, for example, when they come together around very concrete deliverables, something very specific like AIDS, I think it's at its best. If it concentrates on process and talks and endless meetings, and I had to suffer through a lot of those, then I think it's really a waste of money in most time. But my line has always been that we have the science and we need to make sure that the science and the politics are aligned, because then you can really move mountains. And I think that's what happened with AIDS.
I was talking there to Professor Piot, who is now the director of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, about his new book, No Time to Lose, Fighting Dangerous Diseases.